So it looks like there's a lot of data, lots of streaming data flowing in pretty fast.
Yes.
What's your strategy approach to curate this data, to verify this data? Do you use more like people looking at it, or you use analytics to fix analytics? I mean, the data that is
Right.
needed for analytics.
It's a mixture. It's a mixture of both. You have to have the human in the mix to understand what is reasonable at the time. So we do have data stewards who, say for metering data in our load analytics area, we do have data stewards who look at that data. What is it that, is there a peak somewhere or a trough somewhere that, is not necessarily what we're expecting. And then we have to have the human in the mix to understand, is this a realistic peak or trough? Is this something that is correlated with some sort of event somewhere? Is this something that we've seen in the past? Of course, the more that we get the data steward involved, the better that we can improve our algorithms. We can say, oh yes, we've seen this before. We understand what this is, and then we can change our algorithms appropriately so that we're either alarmed or not alarmed when we need to be or don't need to be. So it's a mix. It's a healthy balance.
Okay, so always the best scenario is to use people where people are the best and computers where they do a better job.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
I mean, talking about the people, right? People in the organizations, what I've seen oftentimes would consider, the governance part of the work as, necessary evil. Like, okay, we have to do, we would love to play with the algorithms, visualizations, but that's just so hard and slows us down. How does it work in AEP? How people perceive that part of the work?
We have a kind of a federated analytics program where we have a centralized analytics program and we have analytics teams that are throughout each business unit. So it's really understood how important the analytics program is throughout the organization. And we do have structures, teams that are structured to make sure that the analytics work actually is performed. I think if there's any thing that could be different from team to team is whether or not they use kind of an agile scrum process or a Kanban process. So there's a matter of literacy in process that may be differentiated between the teams. But in general, everybody really understands how important analytics are and how they're going to drive us into the future. What's not as well understood, and this is not unusual to AEP, this is endemic to any enterprise, is that analytics is really just kind of the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of work that needs to be done underneath the waterline to provide that business-ready, trustworthy data layer to perform analytics on. It's not magic. It's not, the data isn't born ready, unfortunately. There's a lot of work that needs to go on under the waterline. So we have a level of data literacy throughout our organization that understands how to take data and use data and argue with data to make a decision. But the literacy for the management of data, all the stuff that's underneath the waterline, is something that's a growing concern. People are coming to the understanding that, if you want to be able to do analytics, you have to have data that is worthy of those analytics. So that's really a change that's happening, and that's where leadership is, comes into play. You need thought leadership. You need leadership in, positional leadership to be able to make the right decisions on how do we manage the data throughout its life cycle, from, planning for its requirements to obtaining it, to storing and sharing it, managing and maintaining it, applying it, and then to its disposition. So you need to have somebody who's in a leadership position, a positional leadership position, somebody who actually has a title to be able to make decisions as to, how do we manage all of this data to provide a trustworthy business ready data layer for our analytics to make decisions to help us move forward.